Hey everyone, and welcome back to the English podcast with Mark and me, Mandy. Today, we're diving into a super practical topic that's relevant for work, travel, and just everyday life: how to handle phone calls confidently in English.
That's right. Phone calls can sometimes feel a bit trickier than face-to-face conversations because you can't rely on body language or visual cues. But don't worry, we'll be sharing useful phrases and tips to help you sound natural and clear on the phone.
We'll be covering everything from greetings and introductions to handling specific situations like taking messages or asking for clarification. Stick around until the end for some vocabulary practice and exercises to help you master those phone conversations. Let's get started. I think one of the things that makes phone calls a bit intimidating is that initial greeting. It sets the tone for the whole conversation.
I agree. It's important to sound professional, but also friendly. A simple hello, "You've reached your name," works well for a more formal context, while "Hi, this is your name" might be suitable for a less formal call.
Right. And what about those times when you need to ask for someone specifically? It can be a bit nerve-wracking if you're not sure who to ask for or how to phrase it politely.
Definitely. You could say something like, "May I speak with person's name, please?" Or, "Could I be connected to person's name, please?" Remember to use may for more formal situations and could for something a little less formal.
And what if the person they're trying to reach isn't available? Giving and taking messages clearly is so important.
Absolutely. If you need to take a message, be prepared to ask for the caller's name, their number, and a brief message. You can say, "I'm afraid person's name is not available at the moment. Can I take a message?"
It's also helpful to repeat the message back to the caller to avoid any misunderstandings, just to make sure you've got everything correct.
Exactly. And don't hesitate to ask for clarification if you didn't catch something. You can politely say, "Could you please repeat that?" Or, "Would you mind spelling that for me?"
Sometimes it's easy to get flustered if the connection is bad too. Have you ever had to deal with that?
Oh, definitely. It happens to everyone. If the line is unclear, you can say, "I'm sorry, the line is breaking up. Could you please repeat that?" Or, "I think we have a bad connection."
And what about ending the call politely? It's always a bit awkward if you're not sure what to say.
For sure. You want to keep it brief but courteous. Something like, "Thank you for calling. Have a great day," works well.
I think it's also helpful to have a few phrases ready for dealing with common situations, like if you need to put someone on hold.
Absolutely. "Could you please hold for a moment? I'll check if person's name is available" is a good one.
Or even just "please hold" if it's a quick check. Those small phrases can make a big difference in sounding more confident on the phone.
You're absolutely right. And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice those phrases and get used to the flow of a phone call, the easier it becomes.
For sure. And it's a great way to improve your fluency and vocabulary in a practical way.
Exactly. Now, how about we delve into some useful vocabulary that came up? That was a great conversation. I think we covered a lot of ground there. For everyone listening, make sure you have your notebooks handy because we are going to go over some key vocabulary that will boost your phone calling skills. Mandy, what's our first word?
Let's start with connect. Mark used it earlier when he said, "Could I be connected to person's name, please?" It means to make a connection between two phones so you can speak to the person on the other end.
Our next word is available. If someone is available, it means they are free to talk on the phone. If someone is unavailable, it means they are busy or can't answer the phone at that moment.
We also talked about taking a message. This is a piece of information that you write down or remember for someone when they are not available to answer the phone.
Clarification is another useful word, especially if you are worried about miscommunication on the phone. It just means to make something clearer or easier to understand.
Remember when I mentioned a bad connection? Breaking up is a common way to describe a phone call when the sound is unclear or interrupted.
And if you need someone to wait while you check something, you can ask them to hold. This simply means to wait on the line.
A courteous ending is so important in any conversation, especially on the phone. It basically means being polite and respectful.
Fluency is a great word for English learners. It refers to the ability to speak smoothly and easily without pausing or hesitating too much.
And finally, don't forget the importance of practice. The more you practice your phone conversation skills, the more confident you'll become.
Great job, Mandy. Those were fantastic explanations. Now that we've reviewed some helpful vocabulary, let's move on to a few exercises to test your listening and speaking skills. Get ready to test your knowledge, listeners. I hope you're paying attention because I'm about to ask you some questions about our conversation. Don't forget to leave your answers in the comments below. Mandy, what's our first question?
Here's an easy one to start. What are some ways to greet someone when you answer the phone in English?
And how about this? If you're calling for a specific person, how can you ask to speak with them politely?
What are some phrases you can use if the phone connection is bad and you need the other person to repeat themselves?
Great questions, Mandy. Here's a final one to get our listeners thinking. What are some challenges you personally face when making phone calls in English? Share your experiences and tips in the comments below. We love hearing from you.
So, remember, confident phone conversations are all about using the right phrases, practicing your pronunciation, and not being afraid to ask for clarification when you need it.
Exactly. And remember those key phrases we talked about. They'll help you navigate those calls smoothly. And most importantly, don't be afraid to practice.
That's a wrap on another episode of the English Podcast. We hope you found these tips and phrases useful for your next phone call in English. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more English learning content, and let us know what other topics you'd like us to cover in the comments. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.